Hey, it's Debbie Stroud. I'm coming in to give you the demo on the Hamsa thing that I have promised you. Let me move this out of the way so I'll have room. So I am going to give you a quick demo to do the Hamsa. I've tried to record this 2 times and I don't know, for some reason it just wouldn't do it. I tried to use 2 cameras yesterday and I had a little bit of a problem, so I decided I was just going to jump on here and show you guys how to do it. So I'm going to move my camera down and I'm going to give you a quick demo of how this goes, okay? So you've got a piece of paper right here, and I'm sorry that the camera is not completely up over it, but you should be able to get the demo anyway. So there are a couple different ways, and I'm going to do one on each piece of the paper. There are a couple different ways that you can start this thing off. For this demo, I'm going to use a Sharpie just so you can see how it goes. So there are a couple different ways you can do this. I'm going to draw this first one upside down so you can see. So you want to think tulip shape. All right, tulip shape. And by that, what I mean is you're going to do this about 1/3 of the size of the paper. And we're going to do a U. All right. Let me get another marker and go back over that because I don't think it's showing up well enough. So it's kind of like this. Shoot, that one isn't showing up either. I think I'm going to have to invest in some better Sharpies. So there's that. I'm going to go back over this. Can y'all see that? I hope you can see it. So there's the U, and we're just going to round it up like the tulip, up and over, just exactly like that. And now if you want to curve this or if you want to make it pointed, it doesn't matter, either one. Just try to make it a little bit symmetrical. Going to go over. I would give myself a couple of dots. I always like to use dots myself for guidelines, and so I'm going to draw up to the guideline and over, up to the guideline and over, right? I might want to make this a little wider, and it doesn't matter if there are a couple of lines here because they're all going to be hidden. In fact, I think I'm going to make it just even a little more wider than that. And then this one is going to come up a little further. All right, so that's the first way you can do this. And then you'll just draw a couple things down just like that. Okay, that is the first demo. The second one is even easier than the first, and I'm going to have to do this upside down so I can show you how to do this. But I'm trying to get a great marker so that you will be able to see it really, really well. I'm going to get this really large Sharpie and hope it works. Okay, so here's the blank piece of paper. Take your hand, right? Put your thumb, put this thumb next to your 3 fingers, and you're going to move your little finger away. Start drawing from this first knuckle here of your thumb, and all you're going to do is trace it. So I've traced 1, 2, 3, right? All the way down like that. Take it off. Put your other hand right where, in with the same fingers. Put your other hand there and place it exactly like you did with your other hand, right? You're going to keep this thumb very close. And with the other hand, it should be easy then just to trace it. Take your hand up. And you already have the beginnings of this. And seriously, do not worry at all about these lines right here, because with the intuitive drawing process that I do, it's not going to matter. So then it's just an easy matter of taking the U shape and just connecting it just like that. And then if you don't like it, if you don't like the shape of it, then change it, because this is your deal. And you can go in and you can straighten it out exactly how much you want. With this whole thing, you're going to be able to hide a lot of the lines, so it's not really going to matter what they look like or what they don't, right? So there we go. I'm going to turn this around and show y'all how this goes. I also want to show you the 3 drawings that I've done. One is from the workshop that I did on the Hamsa. Now this is the one that I had to show, right? And you're going to want to put something inside here. Now let me tell you while I'm telling you this a little bit about the Hamsa. So there are a couple different, this is celebrated in a lot of different cultures. if it's positioned down like this, it is a symbol of protection. It is a symbol of that represents the feminine. And a lot of different cultures have this, and they have it to protect women, to protect pregnancies as a sign of fertility. They hang it either at their door or somewhere inside their home. Okay, it's a sign of protection whenever it's down, right? Or it's good luck. It's good luck whenever it's down. I'm sorry, I said protection and that was wrong. It's good luck when it's down, but when you try it up, it is in a lot of cultures very, very significant. In the Jewish culture, in the Hebrew tradition, this is called the Hand of Miriam. And if you remember in the Old Testament, Miriam was Moses' sister. Moses, who was the bearer of the Ten Commandments, had two siblings that we know of. He had Miriam and he had Aaron. And one of the significant things about Miriam is whenever the children of Israel had crossed the Red Sea and the water came back over Pharaoh and just took care of Pharaoh and all of the chariots and all the horsemen that were with him, Miriam began to dance. And the Bible talks about her dancing with a tambourine, and it was a very celebratory thing. In some other cultures, it's called, in the Middle Eastern culture, it's called the Hand of Fatima. And it all has to do with protection. Some cultures call it, they put an eye in the middle, which is what I did from the last workshop. You can see that. And that is supposed to be the eye of God that's protecting you and protecting anybody from the evil eye. So you can see I did that. I did the tree, and this is the one that I recorded yesterday that did not record. And I wanted to show you this one because this is one of my favorite symbols of all time. It's called a unilome, and it is a symbol of the spiral. I'm doing this upside down. It's the spiral, and it goes twisting and turning to, it's the quest for divine connection. It's the quest for a life journey that ends, depending on what kind of religion you're in, heaven, nirvana, enlightenment, whatever your higher power is and however your beliefs are. So that's what it, and I also have that tattooed on my arm because it really means a lot to me. So there we go with the drawing. Okay, I'm going to put this back down and I'm going to explain it. And you know what? Hey guys, I see that two of you all are on here and I have no idea who is on. So will you leave me a comment and say hey so I'll know who you are? I'm going to put this back down. Okay. So I have decided here that I am going to do two things. One thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to draw another spiral because that's one of the things that I was going to tell you. In this process, this intuitive process, there are different shapes that we draw that mean different things energetically, right? So a circle is a very strong, positive energy because number one, circles are never ending, right? And think of how you feel when, I do this with my students all the time in high school. Think of how different lines make you feel. Example, think of how a really jagged line makes you feel compared to gentle undulating lines. Total different emotion, total different energy. So when I do this with high schoolers, we'll take one class period and I just play different kinds of music, and I invite them just to abstractly let their pencil move across the paper. Sometimes I play screamo. Sometimes I play. I've done this really cool like Irish death metal that is so unbelievably cool. The kids love it. They get to draw lines to that, and then we'll move to classical. We do some country. We do all kinds of different musics that totally and completely carry different energies. Yeah, I don't somebody's trying to, it says somebody has a message for me, but I'm not sure who that is. Okay, I'm going to keep going on. I'm going to draw a spiral, and I want to tell you about this intuitive process that I do. We talked about the circle. We talked about the triangle. The triangle is very significant because it's trifold. And depending on what culture you talk about, and what culture you compare it to and what culture you've grown up in. It can mean a lot of different things. It can mean the triune God. It can mean Father, Son, Holy Ghost. In the spirituality community, it can mean, especially if you're really into Mary Magdalene, it can mean mother, daughter, soul. Just depends. Triangles are very strong. In this particular intuitive art process, our object and our desire is to transmute emotion through energy. And the way that we do that is we take all of the harsh edges and we turn them around. We round them out. We make them circular. And when I first started this certification process, I drew a spiral, because I've always drawn spirals. Spiral, spiral, spiral. And do you need something? Are you okay? Okay. My honey is here. He's trying to cook and he's puzzled because this is not his kitchen. Anyway, spirals. So I used to draw spirals all the time. And in this first class that I did, I turned in one of my drawings and the teacher said, "Why are you drawing spirals? We're not allowed to draw. I don't want you to draw spirals in this group, in this first class." And I didn't understand why. And she said that spirals carried more energy than any other shape. So, you know, it's whatever you want. Hey, Christy, how you doing, girl? It's good to see you. So I'm going to draw a spiral in my hand, and here's how it's going to go. Put my glasses back on, and I'm going to do this really quick, guys. I'm really quick. So I've got my hamster right here, and I am going to, actually, I'm going to do it with this, and I hope that you can see it. So I'm just going to draw a spiral, and I'm going to have it come up like that. Okay. Now, in this intuitive art process, the thing is it's very, very free. It's very, very loose. And if you're OCD, I'm going to give you a tip on how to do this without really doing, if you have trouble making a mark, or if you're really OCD and you can't have trouble letting go, here's one of the ways you can do this. Get a water cap, get a pen cap, get a penny, get anything that has a little bit of weight to it, or it doesn't have a little bit of weight to it, and you just start to push it around the paper. So what we're doing now is we are drawing, they're called neuro lines, N-E-U-R-O, neuro lines. Neuro lines, you never know where they're going to go, and with each one of these neuro lines that we're drawing, we are activating energy. And here's another thing. I have taught this class so many times. I would encourage you to come up with right now 3 things that you want to release. So maybe you might want to release fear. Maybe you might want to release, let's release beliefs about money. Because a lot of people have limiting beliefs about money. You know, I'm only worth so much. I can't make any more than that. Let's release fear about the unknown. Because a lot of people are really uncertain about the future and they don't like the unknown. Okay, so here are 3 things that I want to release. I'm going to turn this around and I'm going to write on the other part of the hand 3 things that I want to call into my life. One thing that I always call into my life is abundance. Abundance. The second thing I might call into my life is, let's see, let's say spiritual connection. Female spiritual connection, because I love having sisters around me. Female spiritual connection. Another thing may be, opportunities to serve, because that's why I do this. That's why I do this business. I love to serve people and help them in transformation. So I'm calling it opportunities to serve. Now, here's the thing. With each one of these lines that I draw, you may want to be thinking about that. First of all, after you draw your first couple of lines, you really want to do a body scan. And you want to think about, how am I feeling right now? Am I tense? Am I nervous about this process? Am I irritated from something that's happened during the day. And sometimes if that is really strong, you can do this. If there's a really strong emotion that you need to release, even in this, you can think about that emotion, let it become very intense in you, and then you can do what we call a catharsis. You put down your pen and you draw and you release that emotion, right? Now you can't see all of this because my marker's running out, but there's like some real energy that's running through this thing, and I'm just going to outline this more. This is all going to be a part of it, right? And so after I've drawn neural lines, which are what these are, these intuitive lines, I recommend that if you're drawing these, here's what you do. You think about where you're going to draw, and then you do something else. Think about what you're going to draw, and then draw something else. Think about what you're going to draw, and draw something else. That is a part of letting that left logical mind go and letting your right creative brain flow. So after I draw these, I think about if I wanted to go right, I'm going to go left. I'm going to do this intentionally. And so I'm just going to spiral out from this center. And in part of this, I'm going to go back over these because you can go back over it, and whether they cross or whether they don't does not matter. Let's go back over them a little bit, and that's what gives them the really full, energetic, intertwined look. So after we do this, I'm trying to make this really super quick. After we do this, then we start to round. And here's how rounding goes. Wherever a line meets another line, let me give you the thing behind this. Wherever a line meets another line, like right here. Can y'all see that? A line meets this other line, right? I think that y'all can see that. Our mind interprets this as tension. So in order to transmute those emotions, right, we round this out. Round it out. Anywhere that there is a cross, anywhere that there is a V, we're going to turn it into a U. So we're going to take that tension and we're going to round it out. Round out that tension, right? And that's how we transmute the energy. Now, here's the thing. The human mind is so absolutely amazing in that this soothes your consciousness, but even more than that, your mind has already made a connection that there's no longer tension here. Here's a possibility, an infinite possibility that is you. Because all of a sudden there's an implied circle here. There's an implied circle here. Implied means it's not actually there, but your mind deciphers that it is. And that's what soothes those emotions. Does that make sense? Implied circles here. We reduce the tension, we fill it with peace, we transmute that energy just by drawing lines. Just by drawing lines. So wherever two lines crisscross, we're going to round this out. And on things like this, like here, on these things right here, sometimes you'll just want to put a little dot because some of these openings are not big enough for like the rounding out, if you can see that. I just put kind of like a couple dots. So I'll go around and I will round all of this out everywhere that a line meets. Sometimes, and here's the thing too about this process, let me say this. If you know that you are not going to be able to finish the rounding, only draw as many lines as you're going to be able to round. This is super important with this process. Don't ever leave a drawing without rounding the corners. Okay? Very, very important in energy medicine. If you're going to do this, only draw, and you know you're going to have to get up, and you know that you're not going to be able to finish this thing, only draw as many lines as you're going to be able to round out. That way you can come back to it. It will be energetically sound, and there won't be all of this raw emotion that's going on inside you and you don't know why. It's like unresolved. We don't like that. We don't want that unresolved energy. Do not want it. So just take some time and really round this out, okay? It's going to eventually look like this. Can you see where I've rounded all of these out? It's what it's eventually going to look like, okay? Then when you start to, and I'm not going to take up a whole lot of your time because y'all can finish some of this stuff on your own. Two things though. When you start to put in color, two things. I use highlighter in this one. Let me put this back up. I use highlighter in this one. And highlighters are really good except for if you use like a flare, these Papermate flares, because they're not waterproof. If you use something like this that is not waterproof, this highlighter will smear it really bad. So you don't want to do that, okay? Otherwise, if you use a Sharpie, a regular Sharpie, you can use these highlighters. And I like to use the highlighters because they're really quick. They're really fast. And you are going to want to not color in each area with a different thing. You're going to want to create a flow, like an energetic flow. You see how I did that on this one? Like this energetic flow coming out through here, coming out through here. So I take big blocks, big sections, and I draw in those sections. Now, I'm not completely finished with this one. I'm going to go back, and you can go back too and just add some value right here, right? You can add value anywhere you want. That's another thing that I wanted to show you in order for things to look three-dimensional. And I'm just trying to throw this out really quick for you all. If you want this to look three-dimensional, like you can see that this is kind of popping out a little bit, and then the circle that's inside is popping out a little bit. It looks like it's like coming out of the page. The way that you do that, this one looks really good like that. See how it looks like it's raising up off the page? The way that you do that is you take a pencil, just a regular pencil, and you're going to color just around the outside of that, because here's the thing. Wherever something meets or overlaps, there's always a slight shadow. Wherever something meets or overlaps, there's always a slight shadow. It doesn't matter if it's 12 noon. It doesn't matter if the light is shining completely down and it's very, very strong. Wherever something meets or overlaps, 100% of the time, there's always a slight shadow. So you'll take your pencil. You're going to color right around the outside of this hand, right? All the way around the outside. Then you can do one of three things. And I don't have my blender here right now, but you can buy things that are called a blending stump. And they are basically little pieces of paper that have been wrapped really, really tightly. And you can manipulate this graphite around, right? Sometimes I just use my finger. I just take my finger and I blend right through here. I blend it. And I'm going to, can you see that where that shadow is just blended a little bit? All the way. And this is where I'm doing this backwards, y'all. So right there is a really good example of great shading, right? And then I'm going to go back in, and right here where this, where my spiral is, I'm going to go back in later and I'm going to shade that too, because I really want that to kind of stand out. And so what I'll do then is just on one side of that spiral, I will, in fact, I'm just going to do that right now and show you how this is done. Let me put this down, and I'll show you how that's done, and then I'll leave you to yourself. So I'm going to just, on one side only, remember. So if you're going to do it on the outside, you do it all the way around on the outside. And so I'm just taking a regular pencil. There's nothing big about this pencil, although I will say that if you use a soft pencil, use at least a 2B pencil. You don't want to use like the numbers, and I'll come back in later, and I'll explain what all of the letters mean after the numbers for pencils. But drawing pencils have different, I'll go ahead and do it now. Drawing pencils have different numbers and different letters. So for drawing pencils, it goes, let me find something to draw on. For drawing pencils, it's going to go like 6B, 4, I'm going to do this, 4B, 2B, and that's the kind of pencils that most students use. And then you'll have a B, like you'll have an HB. So the further you go this way, the softer the pencil is and the better shading you can get. 6B, 4B, 2B, and then you go to HB. Then you're going to go 2H, 4H, 6H, and then it keeps going up. So this is softer, this is softer, this is harder pencil. The harder pencils are great for outlining, like when you're beginning to sketch, because they're really, really light. These pencils are great for shading because the lead is a lot darker, and you have to be really careful because you're not going to be able to erase those, all of it. Okay? So, let me get back to this real quick. So, you're going to just shade all the way around this, around the outside, and then just take your finger. Really, I like to use my pinky finger, and then just kind of smear it around. Or if you are an accomplished artist already, just do your shading. Go on with your bad self. Right? Okay? So there's the shading part. Now, I want to show you two more things and I'm going to be finished. After you draw the narrow lines and after you round everything off, now make sure that you step away, back away from your piece. Like, make sure that you might even want to like hold it out from you and just really look at it, or have somebody else look at it, because if you're right up on a piece, and I always recommend this no matter where I teach, visual arts, you always want to put your piece away from you, right? Arm's length, and look at it. Because it looks different than if you're right up on it. Always, always, always. Look at it, make sure every single corner is rounded off before you move. Then you're going to, and if you can see, I've added a circle here. I did that in the class yesterday, and I haven't rounded off those lines, so I'm going to do that. I just committed the cardinal sin. I told you all not to round off anything before you left, and I did. It's not good energetically to do that. So if you can see this bold line here, I picked 1 or 2 lines. This is called a fixation, right? This part is where you energetically release all of this, all of these transmuted emotions that you've done. You release them and you give them up to who or whatever your higher power is. So as I bolded this line, and I always love to connect somehow or another the whole page, like corner to corner or top to bottom. You can see where I did this down through here, and then I did one more right there. You see this bolded line? I did that. So now I have fixated my intention, right? And I've given this up to my higher power. I've transmuted negative energy, whatever energy you had before. And in this process, it's really good to several times stop and take note of yourself. Are your shoulders tense? Is your neck tense? Is your jaw clenched? If it is, intentionally let that go. Intentionally. It's always good to do this in the present moment. You have thoughts of the future, let them go. Because if you're taking time to do this drawing, you've made time to do this, and there's nowhere else to be. Nothing else to do. So let's transmute some energy into positivity. Let's manifest some dreams. Let's magnetize things to us by intention and attention, which are two completely, totally different things. And I'll come back in and talk about that in another post. But they're two very necessary things in your spiritual path, but very, very different. If you have any questions about this process, please drop me a comment below. I will be glad to answer anything that you have. I've also decided that, and it'll be up shortly, I will put all the tickets up shortly, but my next series of workshops is still at Art Meets Energy Medicine, but I have asked a lot of you what you would want to see, what you want to do, and the basic consensus has been that you would love to do a chakra series, and along with a chakra cleaning, like a chakra deep cleaning each time. So we are going to do that. We're going to do that energetically. I'm going to teach you the specific vibration for each chakra. I'm going to teach you the specific mantra and the sutra for each of the chakras. Just because. So that's going to be Thursday night at 7. So the link for, I will also, when I get this Eventbrite thing up and you can get your tickets and reserve it, I would recommend that you go ahead and do that, because the tickets, as you all know, fill up really quick, even though they're free. This next session, I can guarantee you it will be recorded. I'm not going to have the technical problems that I had before. I love you all. I so appreciate you being in this space. And I don't take what I do lightly. I don't take being in here and giving of myself energetically lightly. And I hope that beyond anything, if you or I ever work together, or if we do not, I hope that something that I say, something that I offer you, is something that will transform your life. That's my goal. Love you all. Have a good night.